global forum to talk about some of the issues that matter to so many of us. And, you know, when it comes to women empowerment, the role of women in leadership, that's just so important. And of course, when we look at women in business, but also politics, public life, particularly post-pandemic, there is so much more that we can do. So your panel alone is really exciting, obviously in terms of speaking to those who've been at the forefront of a great deal of work during the pandemic, but also serving in some very big and strategic leadership positions. There is always much more to do, and certainly from my perspective as the Home Secretary in the British government for the United Kingdom, there is just a raft of work that's taking place that I have the privilege of leading on as well. So the work that we do in terms of women and girls, domestic abuse, some of the more personal issues that clearly affect the day-to-day of some of women in the United Kingdom, British citizens, but then also to lean into, through forums like this, the global agenda, where we can affect and shape change, where we can influence, where we can, even through the G7 presidency, which the British government holds right now, do much more in terms of global empowerment of women, developing an agenda in terms of economic empowerment, doing much more for girls in particular. Our Prime Minister has a very strong agenda for girls' education. So these are some really important strands, some things that I think will touch upon all aspects of the debate discussion today. And I'm sure your other panelists as well will, you know, have some views on those areas.
Absolutely. Before we move over to Kenya, maybe pretend we could just talk about one of the other areas that you're involved in. We know that the UK and India recently signed a migration and mobility partnership. Can you tell me about the importance of this?
Of course. Well, this migration and mobility partnership, I mean, it's the first of its kind that has been agreed by our two great countries. And I think first and foremost, it very much speaks to the strength of our bilateral relationship. I mean, these agreements don't come out of thin air. We have to work hard. Both governments have to work hard in terms of the delivery and the content of those agreements. And what I would say, you know, someone also who's of Indian origin, so it's fair to say I may have a few insights from that perspective as well. This is a relationship that is one of equals, and I just fundamentally believe that, you know, our relationship at a bilateral level has been transformed, certainly across, well, with the Indian government, certainly over the last 10 years since my party has been in government in the United Kingdom. It's a very personal relationship. It's one that reflects very much the roots that we have with the diaspora community. But you've asked specifically about what that partnership will achieve. It is about people. The living bridge, as the Prime Minister of India himself speaks of, and my Prime Minister here, Boris Johnson, speaks very much about global Britain, and global Britain demonstrates that we're open, and that mobility partnership is very much about people-to-people ties. Students, people coming over here, young professionals, having the opportunity to live in the UK and work in the UK, and it's one of a partnership that's of the equal. So that's being reciprocated with Brits also going to India and having the same opportunities. And there are many other aspects as well that touch across the Home Affairs portfolio.
So what makes the UK a better alternative for young Indian talent than for where I'm from, the United States or Canada, Australia, the EU?
Well, a number of factors. First and foremost, that bilateral relationship is obviously key. The living bridge is part of that. But just to put this into some context as well, last year alone, we issued 56,000 visas, student visas, to students from India. That's a 13% increase from the previous year. That's also through the pandemic, so that's really quite something. I'm also launching our graduate route. Basically enables the post-study route that I've heard for the last decade, in fact, for years and years, every time I've been to India, before I was even in the Home Office, and I've been a very strong advocate of this, as has the Prime Minister. So it's the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom that has felt so personally passionate about this, that will effectively help to, you know, bring the brightest and the best, the talent from India to the United Kingdom. And if I may just give, you know, an anecdote, I've always spoken about, you go to parts of London, and I appreciate this is very different right now throughout the pandemic. You go to the Canary Wharf, you know, you go to the City of London, you could close your eyes and you would almost hear every single Indian dialect being spoken and echoed, which I find, you know, I think that's great. I think it speaks to global Britain, it speaks to diversity of our country, but these are the people that were once students in the United Kingdom who are now living and working and contributing to the economic harmony and fabric of the UK. That's what this route will do, the graduate route, the study work route as well. That's why the United Kingdom will be the place for Indian students to come and study, but also work and effectively contribute in the long run. And that speaks, I think, very much to our openness, shared values, the shared values matter a lot, but also to the heritage and the roots that we have here in the United Kingdom with the Indian community.
Thank you, Home Secretary.